Hi, fellas. Mr. C here. I need to explain to you something very important having to do with picking your courses for next year. Every year that you're at Del Barton, except the last year, of course, you will pick courses for the next year. And it's time to do that now. Now, this process may sound scary, but it really isn't. So here are the basics. You're going to log on to PowerSchool using the same logon information that you use to see your end of term grades and your midterm grades. If you don't have that information, you can contact me and I will get it for you. You're going to pick your classes, and guess what? Most of them are already pre-selected for you. Most important thing that you should get from this PowerPoint, believe it or not, is that at the end of the process, you have to hit submit. Now, I have timed guys doing this in the 7th grade, and it takes about 45 seconds. It's going to take me way longer to explain it than it is for you to actually do it. Now, before you go onto the portal, there are a few things you need to think about. Number one is, do I want to move up in mathematics? Now, I will explain this, excuse me, in another slide. Another thing you're going to have to think about is what music class do you want? And once again, I'll explain that in an upcoming slide. So let's talk about world language choice. Now, I put choice in quotes for a reason, and the reason is you don't really have a choice. Right now, you're in level 1A of whatever language you have. You have to select level 1B of that same language when you open up the portal. It will not be pre-selected for you. So if you are in Spanish right now, Spanish level 1A, you have to select Spanish level 1B for next year. Please don't confuse the system and select level 1B of a different world language. I will be checking. Doesn't get any simpler than that for world language. All of your other classes, history, English, science, PE, will be pre-selected for you. So you don't really have to think about those. So now we come to the very complicated process of moving up in math. You may be asking yourself, what does it mean to move up in math? It simply means that you're going to take the next class in the progression of math classes this summer, and then next September, you're going to be 2 classes ahead of where you are right now. So using this slide here, you can see what the normal progression of math classes is. If you never moved up in math, in 7th grade, you would have Algebra 1A. In 8th grade, you would have 1B. 9th grade, you would have geometry. 10th grade, you would have Algebra 2 trig. 11th grade, you would have pre-calculus. And then in 12th grade, you would have one of the various types of calculus. There's regular calculus, there's calculus AB, there's calculus BC. Or you would pick a class such as AP Stat. So if you're going to move up in math, most of you are in Algebra 1A. If you're thinking about moving up in math over the summer, that means you would take Algebra 1B over the summer, and you would land in geometry in September. And that means that when you open up the portal to select your classes for next year, you would put geometry in instead of Algebra 1B. Now, a couple of you are not in Algebra 1A, but it should be pretty obvious what you need to do in those cases of those fellas if they're desiring to move up in math. Now, there is a process which I'd like to explain next. There are basically 4 ways that you can move up in math. You can come to the Del Barton Summer School. And by the way, we don't know right now which classes will be virtual and which classes will not be. Obviously, we have a lot to figure out with the COVID situation. You could go to another school's summer school. For instance, Newark Academy, which is in Livingston, has a summer school. You could take the class through a tutor. If you do that, you have to commit to at least 30 hours of instruction with the tutor. That does not count going over homework. You could also do it by taking an approved online class. And I'll talk more about that in a few minutes. So those are the four ways, if you will, or streets that you could go down to move up in math. Now, obviously, you have to demonstrate your proficiency in the class that you took over the summer by taking a final exam and earning what we would call a passing score. So for option one, if you take the Delbarton Summer School, you have to get a 75% on the final exam. But for options 2, 3, and 4, you have to earn an 85%. Now, I will say this to you. It looks like it's much harder to get an 85% than a 75%. And it is. And that's because we control the instruction at the Delbarton Summer School. We can't control the instruction in options 2, 3, and 4. And thus, we have to set the bar a little bit higher to make sure that you really understand the class you took over the summer. So you might want to know, all right, Mr. Cimino, this sounds good. How do I do this? What do I need to do on my end? Well, the first thing I want you to do is I want you to go talk to your teacher. Now, I will already have talked to your teacher, and I will have gotten his or her opinion on whether or not he or she thinks that you're a good candidate for moving up. I will already have done that, but I want you to do it. The next thing you do is come and see me. You can see me before school. You can see me after school. You can see me during M block. You can send me a Zoom request. We can talk at night. There's lots of ways of seeing me, but you absolutely have to come and see me. I am going to send you, and now we're on number 3, I'm going to send you to the mathematics department chairperson, Mr. Johnson. That'll be the next thing. He is going to give you a link for an online form that you have to fill out. At the end of that form, now we're on number 5, there's a permission form, a physical piece of paper, which you have to print out. And now we're on number 6. Once you've printed it out, you sign it, your parents sign it, then you bring it in to me, I will sign it, and then it's up to you to physically hand it in to Mr. Johnson. Now, I put number 7, maintain an A average, and that'll be more obvious what that means in a minute. But this is the process. As you can see, it's not as simple as just raising your hand and saying, I want to move up in math. And the reason we make it a step-by-step process is we want to make sure that you're very serious about moving up in math and you're not just doing it on a whim. Now, when you come and see me, which is step 2, come and see me, I'm going to ask you some questions. The first question is, do you have an A average in math? Now, naturally, I can see all of your grades, so I will know the answer when you sit down with me. But please don't come and see me if you don't have an A average in math. If you don't have an A average in math, I'm not going to sign the form allowing you to move up. So that means an A or an A minus in the first term and an A or an A minus at this midterm, which we just ended. And this will explain what number 7 here, maintain an A average. You have to maintain that A average throughout the year. If once you decide you're going to move up, you have an A average, I sign your form. If your grades go into the tank for the rest of the year, we very well may pull you from the summer roster, so to speak. Next question I'm going to ask is, why do you want to move up in math? It's a very important question. The answer I want to hear is because you love math. The next thing I'm going to ask you is, what is your plan for moving up in math? And by plan, I mean, do you want to come to the Delbarton Summer School? Are you going to go to another school, summer school? Are you going to get together with a couple of friends and get a tutor, which some guys do? Or are you going to take an approved online class? And by approved, it has to be approved by Mr. Johnson. And I will give you some suggestions when you come and talk to me as to which one are going to be approved. For instance, the CTY program, Center for Talented Youth, that one will be approved. Now, this is really key, this bullet point here. Are you going to be free on the date the final is given? So if you normally go to Cape Cod for 2 weeks towards the end of July, and you're going to take the class with a tutor, right? You have to make yourself available to come to Delbarton, to physically come to Delbarton and take the final exam for the class that you took over the summer on the day that we give it at Delbarton to whoever's here for the summer school. So it would not be a good idea to sign up to move up in math and to not have this conversation with your parents where you look at your summer plans and you realize that you're not available on the date that we give the exam. Now, they will make arrangements with you to take it before the date that they give the test to everyone else, but not after. I'm going to ask you what your math teacher thinks about this. Now, again, I will already have spoken to the math teachers, but I need to make sure that you have too. So I will ask you, what does your math teacher think? That's a link to the summer math advance approval form. Okay, so just one last thing about moving up in math. If these last couple of slides have not made it crystal clear how to do this, what this process is about, of course, all you need to do is come and see me, send me a Zoom request for a meeting, whatever you need to do, and I will answer your questions. Now, this is new. You may have heard about this. Maybe there are some rumors going around. But next year, all middle schoolers will have to take a music performance class, right? The seventh graders that are coming in will have to take it, and the eighth graders, that'll be you, will have to take a music performance class. Basically, you have these three options. You can take chorus, you can take band, you can take strings, but only if you've already played a stringed instrument. So we don't want people who have never played the violin to sign up for strings thinking that they are going to be taught how to play the violin. That's not going to be what the strings program is about. Now, Mr. Cote, our registrar, is also going to put a fourth option in the portal that says band/chorus. And if you don't have a preference for band or chorus, you should pick that option. That will help Mr. Cote balance the classes, because let's say that there are 38 of you and 29 of you picked band, right? And the rest of you are in chorus. I think 29 is going to be a very large class, especially because the incoming seventh graders will be with you in these classes. So let me go over that again. If you want to sing in music performance class, you should pick chorus. If you want to play a musical instrument, and by the way, I've been informed that we will get the musical instrument for you or help you to rent one, then you should pick band. If you already play a stringed instrument such as the violin, cello, viola, and you want to do strings, you should select strings. And if you don't have a preference, you should select band/chorus when you see that in the portal. Speaking of the portal, going to be open for 2 weeks. So at the end of January, right? The portal will be just about ready to open, and then it will open on Monday the 1st. It'll be open essentially for 2 school weeks. That whole school week, the whole next school week, and it will close on February 12th. Please don't wait until the last minute to make decisions about things like moving up in math or band course or strings. Please don't wait to fill this out. It literally takes less than a minute to do all the clicking that you need to do. And we really want to get this thing taken care of so that we can get all of the ducks in a row that we need to for next year. Now, in the past, there's certain paperwork that has to be handed in to the business office by a certain date. And if that paperwork has not been handed in, your parents will not be able to um, fill out the enrollment or the course selection for next year because the PowerSchool portal will not work, right? So we're basically done. If you guys have any questions, just like I say all the time, if you have any questions, come and see me, email me. We'll have an ongoing question and answer session going essentially on Schoology. You can have your parents contact me, although I would prefer that you did the contacting. You can send me a Zoom request. We can talk in the evening. It doesn't have to be during the school day if you're not free at the same time that I'm free. The point is you have to ask questions. If you ask your friends, you're not 100% guaranteed that you're going to get the right answer. So that's what I'm here for. Don't hesitate to ask me. Okay, fellas, that's it. Talk to you soon.